Thank you for coming in today. I just have a couple questions for you. Would you be able to tell me how you organize, plan, and prioritize your work?
Definitely. So the main thing that I do to keep on top of things and plan and organize myself is I keep a planner with all the dates of the month naturally and just days of the week. Just a typical planner you can get at any store like Staples or something like that. And I'm very careful to keep all my dates in there that I have to, all my appointments and things like that, all of the different locations I have to go and accounts I have to service on certain days of the week. So that's my big thing that I do there. And then, as also for organization, something I do is I always keep in touch with my different clients, and I'm sure to always just keep text them, email them, just keep up to date with them, things that they need.
Awesome, thank you. Share an experience in which you effectively contacted customers, discussed their needs, and explain how products or services could meet those needs.
Definitely. So the field that I'm in is animal nutrition, actually, like feed for dairies and things that involving that sort of thing. Definitely cows. So one of the big things that we really look for in the industry is growing strong, healthy calves for dairy farms, and one of the main things that goes into that is a good calf ration, a good calf feed for those animals. So one of the things that I've done to kind of negotiate my product and come across as persuading people there would be to really push our product, which has better ingredients and that sort of thing. I work for Associated Feeds, so our competitor JD Heskel has a cheaper feed, but it has less nutritious components. It has more fines, which are just more of like a dust compared to actual good grains and stuff like that. So I really kind of push our feed there and make sure that we can give the best product we can to our customers and potential customers.
Thank you. Share an experience in which you successfully shared a difficult piece of information.
Definitely. So every once in a while, we will have slip ups at the mill where we make our feeds. One particular time was when a truck had a mix up on the scale. They had to reload it and stuff like that, and wrong ticket. And so basically, what that means is the truck wasn't going to turn up to deliver its load, and the dairyman needed the feed. So what I did was I had some totes in the back of my truck, and I was able to fill them up with some feed and take it to the dairyman to get him through the day, and just personally hand deliver those products so that he can be able to complete his feeding for the day and wait for the truck to get through it.
Share an experience when you applied new technology or information in your job. How did it help your company?
Right. So we work in very volatile markets with different feeds traded nationally around the world, everything from soybeans to corn, and so there's always new information coming up. One of the things that I do is I keep on track of the different markets, and I'm always sure to try to find the best price for my buyers. And I try to keep up to date, and they also do it as well. But I'm always being sure to let them know when to lock in a good price and that kind of thing. And that also helps in turn. It helps my customer, and in turn helps my company so that they can keep those customers loyal and give them the best product that they need.
Describe a time when you successfully persuaded another person to change his or her way of thinking or behavior.
Right. So going back to that calf feed that I spoke about earlier, JD Hiskel actually has a large share of the market for calf feeds. They're very popular, especially in the South Valley, and so a lot of dairymen do tend to stick with them and stay loyal to them. But I continuously try to show them that our product is superior in almost every way possible. That we're giving them better nutritional value to their animals, and so every once in a while that does actually turn out to work in our favor because we do give a better product and we are straight up and honest that it will cost a little bit more, but you really, in the end of the day, you do get what you pay for.
Awesome. Provide an example of a time when you were able to demonstrate excellent listening skills. What was the situation and what was the outcome?
So a certain time that that's happened to me is I speak a lot to the feeders that are working on these dairies that are mixing these rations every day for the cows. I do deal with the owners as well, but I mostly talk to feeders, and so I really have to be listening to them at all times. A certain example of when I had to really use those listening skills and fix a problem was the owner had told or made orders for a certain number of truckloads a day, and the feeder had also made those number of orders. So they were getting way too much feed for what they needed. And so by listening to the feeder explain that, hey, I'm getting 3 truckloads a day instead of just one every other day, which is insane, we were able to find the problem, see there was actually a miscommunication there between all the parties involved, and we were able to fix that problem and get them the right amount of feed that they needed daily.
Share an example of when you went above and beyond the call of duty.
Right. So working on dairies, there's tons of stuff to look at, and there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, not just feed, which is what I specialize in. So every time I'm on a dairy, I'm kind of looking for places for them to improve certain things that might help them get more milk out of their animals or just have happier animals. And one of those big things I look at is cow cooling. I have experience from working on dairies in the past and also from my schooling at Cal Poly. And so I'm able to implement those when I'm out on the dairies and say, oh, when I notice, for example, certain animals that seem to be overheated or certain animals that seem to not be getting enough trough space, just things like that, different ways that I can kind of tell the dairyman, hey, this might be something you might look into, and it helps them build their trust in me, and we really do become partners in that sense of trying to better them.
Share an experience in which your attention to detail and thoroughness has had an impact on your company.
Right. So I'm always very thorough with my different accounts. I need to be because I am, in a sense, I don't have a set schedule, I should say. I have my number of clients, my number of accounts that I have to take care of. And so I have to be very, very thorough with that and very on the dot. I know what days I have to go to certain places. And I'm always sure to accommodate everyone that I work with.
Awesome, perfect. Share an experience in which you effectively negotiated a price, terms of sale, or a service agreement.
Uh, Going back to the calf feed, we can swing it back to that again. I always tell them, hey, this might be a little more expensive compared to our competitors. We are charging a little bit more, but in the end of the day, I do show them the content of the calf ration, the content of the feed, the fact that it's not so much fines and dust and byproducts is a lot more just wholesome, good nutrient. And most guys actually do tend to like that. A lot of guys do care enough to put the money in at the beginning so they get the money years later from the milk in their animals. So they put the money in at the beginning and it pays off in the end. And that's one of our big selling points there.
Share an experience in which you effectively, oh, sorry, I just asked that. Provide an example of when your ethics were tested.
I can't say I have any examples of that yet in the career, but maybe at your company I might see a little more of that. So
Oh, for sure. Share an experience in which your ability to consider the cost or benefits of a potential action helped you choose the most appropriate action.
right. So of course, as a salesman, I'm always trying to find new ways to expand business and find new clients. But before we really do make a contract or sign any deals with anyone, dairyman, we want to really look into the cost benefits, as you're saying. A certain example of that would be we had a smaller dairyman up north, actually kind of a farther away from our plant, and he didn't need a very large amount of feed. It would have been kind of sporadic deliveries. It wouldn't have filled a whole truck. And from what we saw, it just wouldn't have penciled out to truck them that feed as frequently as they would need since we had no return hauling. So in the end of the day, we had to just tell them we apologize, but for us to keep the price reasonable for you, there would be no feasible way for us to ship to you. So we actually didn't have a deal from that from running the numbers.
Tell me about another effective sales presentation or proposal which you have prepared and delivered.
Um, Well, one of the things that we really look at is we're trying to look into the different markets, as I had said. And what we saw last September was that the soybean market, I believe it was soybeans, actually the price went down quite significantly due to different trade regulations with China and that sort of thing. So I relayed that information to my different dairymen and different clients, and I explained to them, hey, this is a really good time to lock in a price with us, of course, because that's what I'm there for, is to sell for us. But I explained to them this is a good time to lock in a price. Prices are really good. And once I relayed that information to them and backed it up with the facts from different trade sites and that sort of thing, they agreed to go along with that and sign a contract.
Very good. Would you be able to share an experience in which collaborating with colleagues helped you to be more effective in your work?
Definitely. So I am a salesman for Associated Feed, but we actually have several different salesmen throughout California and throughout different territories. And one thing that we see is, especially in dairy industry and any agricultural industry, word of mouth is huge. So you'll have a dairyman that has a cousin in a different region or a different sphere of influence for a salesman, and he might really like our service, but I won't be able to service his cousin or his friend because that's not my area. So what I'll do is I'll actually relay that information to my what's the correct word? My just coworker or my friend in that area that works for us and say, hey, this dairyman might be interested in looking at our products, and I'll give him the contact information and let him know where to go and talk to that dairyman.
Provide an example or an experience that demonstrates your ability to manage time effectively. What were the challenges and the results?
Definitely. So we're always used to school having certain classes at times and having different schedules kind of laid out for us ever since we're young in school. But with the sales job that I have, I am my own boss in the sense that I have to make my own schedule. So I have to be really on top of what dairies need to be serviced at what days. Of course, bigger dairies I have to go and see more often. Smaller dairies not as much, of course. But so I really have to be diligent on my time, figure out a good route that I can hit as many dairies as effectively as possible in that day. I have to really be on top of different changes they may have made to their rations and different things like that. And so every day I have to really be on top of my own personal time, and the effects of me not being so could be quite detrimental. We could lose an account. Cows could go hungry. So it really is a matter of everyday life that I have to be on top of those sorts of things.
Awesome. Well, thank you for coming in. I think that's it for today.
Awesome. Thank you.